Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Neon. I am here with Geeky Sparkles.
Hello.
And we're going to talk about AI art. We're going to talk about Webtoon. We're going to talk about comics. We're going to talk about plagiarism, controversy, and slowing down technology.
It's the whole package.
It's the whole package. So that's what this video is about. There is a Korean webcomic that has been accused of plagiarizing popular anime Mushoku Tensei, which is, you know, pretty good. I've seen it. It's a little on the dirty side, but I've watched it.
It's funny.
It's funny. But this is another conversation coming up about AI being used professionally and whether or not it should be. And I am not advocating for it. I'm just telling you that it's here. And companies that are pressed to do more with less are going to use it more and more. And there really is no stopping it, just slowing it down. But we'll see a lot of stories like this, I think, in the coming months and years until we get to a point where I think ultimately it's going to go where companies are able to create comics completely whole cloth, just using AI and parameters that they put in. And honestly, the AI is not going to talk back. It's not going to go out to Twitter and give its hot takes. You know, it's just going to crank out art.
It's just so do what it's told.
Do as it's told. So maybe for now, well, until it decides that, you know, humans are problematic and Skynet is born. But for now, let's just talk about comics. So before we get into it any further, please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. You'll get a woohoo if you do. Woohoo! Woohoo. So yeah, so we've talked about AI art, we've talked about Webtoon, and this is interesting because this is an actual studio using AI and ripping off a very popular anime. And yeah, so the accusations, this is a Korean Webtoon accused of plagiarizing Mushoku Tensei by using AI. The accusations have some merit. Some of the panels in the comic are eerily similar to the scenes in the anime.
Yeah.
A little bit. Yeah, a little bit. But then sometimes, you know, people do take inspiration. The webtoon in question is The Night King Who Returned with the God. So I love these titles. I think we need to use AI to just generate like light novel titles.
There you go. That's for fun. For kicks and giggles, we should do that.
We should. And it'd be like some like freaking 50-word title, but you basically have to spoil the entire story. And it has to, what they say in the UK, it has to do what it says on the tin, which is basically it's really on the nose. Yes. You know, the first 6 chapters were released a few days ago. The webtoon is based on the novel of the same name. So this is Manga Magura RE, a recent webtoon over on Naver called The Night King by Blue Line Studio, released on May 22nd, has come under fire by readers as being suspected of tracing Mushoku Tensei, Jobless Reincarnation, by using AI.
Yeah, well, I get why they're saying that.
Yeah, I can see it. You know, I mean, it's, yeah. Hey, if it's popular, right? You know, the studio behind The Night King, Blue Line Studio, has removed the panels from the comic following multiple bad reviews by infuriated fans.
So it's just those 2 panels, or is there more to it?
There was probably more to it.
I think there's more to it.
Blue Line Studio isn't new to controversy. However, the studio has admitted to using AI in their production process to give some finishing touches to the illustrations, which was opposed by lots of anti-AI fans. It's a touchy subject since AI is new to the art industry and many people are skeptical. The first chapter of the Night King was rated 1.9 out of 10 and scored the lowest among 600 webtoons released that week. The studio has denied using generative AI to produce images, but instead uses it to finalize some minor details.
Well, wait, then okay, well then that's it then. If you're not using the AI to redraw that means other people redrew those panels. Yeah.
However, according to the readers, AI was used extensively in making, saying that style, shape, and colors of the illustrations look similar.
Is this from the book or is this from the show? Because that was actually from, which one's it from?
It's hard to tell, right? I think this is from the comic.
Yeah, well, okay. Knowing it, if you've watched the anime.
Anime, yes.
Okay, yeah, yes. No. That's okay.
Yeah, which is actually a very good show, by the way. I've watched. Did you watch a couple episodes?
I did.
Yeah, it was actually pretty good.
It was funny.
He's kind of a perv.
He is a perv.
But it's funny. Yeah, and then we got Groot. It's Disney's.
He doesn't say he's Groot. He does say I'm Root.
I am Root. Besides being accused of plagiarizing Mushoku Tensei, the webtoon is also accused of copying Groot.
I am Moot.
The incident raised questions on social media as to how or if AI should be used in the process of making art.
Not if you're just flat out stealing people's shit.
Yeah, so there's no news yet as to whether or not they're going to get sued. There are strict copyright laws in Japan. So here's the conversation. Let's have this conversation because this is, they admitted to using AI before. There was an anime studio that used AI to generate backgrounds. AI has gotten freakishly good in the past year or two. When it first started, it just generated nightmare fuel, but now it's starting to learn to draw fingers correctly.
Yes.
I think what's eventually going to happen is that AI is going to be incorporated into the production process, just like digital art tablets are incorporated into the production process. And there's really not a damn thing anybody can do about it.
No, I mean, if you're doing something like they said, they use it for sometimes for shortening shortening sentences to fit in word bubbles better. Okay, I can give you that. But if you're using it to steal other people's artwork to redraw your comic in the same, style, that's not cool. But then people do it all the time too. How many comic book artists have gotten caught copying other people's covers?
Greg Land.
Yeah, and they just flat out just traced over other people's art.
It's called an homage.
That's called tracing paper, and you're not allowed to do that. I mean, that's a bad thing. So even if it wasn't AI, it could be argued that people do it anyway, and it could have been artists that did it. We had Roy Lichtenstein, the famous pop art artist, who basically just went to comic books and lifted panels and then painted it and then said it was his.
Oh, yeah, they actually found the comics that he lifted from.
Somebody, I don't know who it was, and full credit to that person, went and found them all.
Yeah, and he did. He lifted, and he made millions of dollars off of lifting other people's art. I mean, we've got this problem in Artist Alley, too. People printing out other people's art, passing it off as their own prints, especially when you see these, print factories, and they've got, massive walls of
sometimes
prints.
They do have permission from the artist, or they make a deal, but a lot of times they don't.
Yeah, and it's okay, they're all in different styles, and so this obviously isn't one artist, and they all look like they were covers, and some of them were, and sometimes they Photoshop.
Then there's the whole argument that's not their characters to begin with, but that's a whole nother argument.
That's a whole nother argument. So look, this is it's going to happen. I think where I can see a real use for AI is actually in scripting, writing, and keeping track of characters to make sure that they're on brand. Because I know I was just messing around with AI, and I was kind of like, hey, historically speaking, prior to the last couple of years, has Bobby Drake of the X-Men ever shown any interest in men? No. And it gave me a whole outline of here are all the women that Bobby Drake has dated.
Yeah.
But yeah. And then it's but of course, authors are free to change things or whatever. But I could totally see AI being a useful editorial tool, and especially going through and helping, tweak scripts, not create scripts wholesale, but tweak them, make sure they're on brand. And again, it comes down to training it. I think what's eventually going to happen, because everybody's doing it. Disney's doing it. They're talking.
I'm not saying it makes it right. We're just saying everybody's doing it.
I'm not saying it makes it right. I'm saying it's a slippery slope. So what's going to happen is you're going to have, in animation and in comics, projects that took a dozen people. Maybe it took 5 people to make a comic book. And now you're going to have 2 people with the help of AI. Animation, it might have taken a couple hundred people to produce a 2D animated movie, and you can do it with a dozen people because they can use AI to do the in-betweens or to do coloring. I could see it being helpful with coloring. If it were trained to draw, I got to tell you, I would love this. We had this conversation before. I would love to be able to train an AI to draw like me, but better. And then also be able to use it to, help.
But then anybody else can draw like you, but better.
Yes,
that's the problem. And it's using, if you were training with your own stuff, that's one thing. But what it's being trained on, it's going to the greater AI with your stuff. So that's just what's happening, is everybody's stuff's getting inputted into it, whether they want it to or not. Because that's where there's the issue. Right,
because you look at manga and they have assistants helping them and they have whatever. And I think that is potentially what could happen. What the most useful application of AI could be is you have a studio head or an artist that can use it to do some of the tedium, okay, we're in Tokyo, just draw me, generate backgrounds. Here's what it looks like. I programmed it in, and you can just kind of move it around, whatever. Here's what this set looks like. Just draw it in.
I know people who use they use actual
3D renders and
of city. I can see it used for that, and that wouldn't. You're just using actual locations, so it's not actually doing anything that would be stealing from somebody else. The problem is when it steals art from someplace else. That's the problem. That clearly told it to, if it was AI,
yes,
make it look like this. And if that's the case, it's stolen from that.
And it could have just been somebody lifting a panel, because there are
that's
people.
That's just it. It could have been someone drawing it too. You know,
But even Shonen Jump, Shonen Jump's using it now.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about.
Yeah, so they said that this is what, like a week ago, they have an AI program called Comic Copilot. It helps them write manga. So, and it basically is helping them squeeze everything into the word balloons.
That's what I get. It's trying to readjust to fit things into the word balloons better.
Yeah, it comes up with characters' names or shortening dialogue, but the Comic Copilot can also be used for brainstorming and as a consultant too. This is where I think it's going to be used the most right now, is editorial. So all those editors that are out there on Twitter, blah, 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 hot takes. Yeah, guess what? Your jobs are probably the first up on the chopping block, because they
still need one person to make sure the grammar's correct and everything else, because even if you have a computer doing it, doesn't mean it's correct in context. But
that is true. We've had that happen before.
But I'm just like, I'm torn on this one, because yes, where it can help you come, but the brainstorming thing worries me, because it's basically just going to take from other people. But then everything's already been done. They said we talked to somebody once at a studio. I'm not going to name the studio, and they're like, basically everything's already been done. It's just how are you going to rearrange it to make it work that it's yours? What sets yours apart? Yeah.
So I don't know, guys. I mean, I'm really torn on this, because as a publisher, I can see some value in the application as long as there are checks and balances and it's not just wholesale creating stuff and copying from other people. But there's no stopping it. Companies are going to use it, especially as they tighten their belts. They're going to resort to using more and more tools like this.
It leaves more people without jobs.
Yeah, it leaves more and more people without jobs. And I'm going to tell you, all right, the first people that are going to get fired are the people that will not shut the hell up on social media, because you're a liability. You're anti-money. You're actually costing them money. And they're like, we can just replace you with a bot. That's it. We'll just replace you with a bot. So anyway, are we going to wrap this one up?
Yep.
Okay, please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. We'll talk later.
Bye. Sorry, I yelled loudly.
That's okay. I got the limiter on.
Okay. So
you can tell my
kick setting.
Yeah, you can
Wait,
tell.
really? It automatically limits it when I yell?
It does. When the pitch gets too high, it does. Sometimes if you sound like all robotic, it's because it's bringing the decibels down.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Help support the channel. Go to thereef.support and get early access to podcasts, videos, and other content. That's thereef.support.